All right, since we have a forum, go ahead and get started. First item on the agenda is Secretary's report.
Chairman, I've reviewed the regular meeting minutes of the school committee from the January 17th meeting, and I make a motion that we accept the minutes as written.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Yates, we'll give Mr. Henry the second on that one. You did a good here. Questions, comments, discussion? Seeing none, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries, the minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda, the treasurer's report.
Yes, in your packages, you received the January 31st, 2019 Treasurer's Report. At the end of January, we had $6,320,884.11. Local funds had $5,153,468.35, and project funds had $1,167,415.76. So during the month of January, we had a significant number of member assessments come in. The due date was actually February 1st. All of the assessments are paid at this point. Our Chapter 71 came in, so that's half-year payment for the $521,000. Our expenses were pretty much on budget and as anticipated. For the month, they were 2 payrolls and two warrants that month, 2 AP warrants. Anybody have any questions on the January finances?
We accept as written.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Henry, second by Mr. Iannarelli. Questions, comments, or discussion from Ms. Ogier? Seeing none, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Back to you.
I don't see Brad.
Mr. Chairman, the February report will be available at the next meeting. We do not have all of the bank statements available in order to have that prepared.
In advance of the meeting, Ms. Mitchell indicated she could not be present. And Mr. Evelyn also indicated.
Next item on the agenda, the July 4th festivities. Brad.
Thank you. Brad DeDeo, for those of you who don't know me yet, I'm here year after year, so you know me better unless you're new. But I'm here again to request the use of the facilities for the annual fireworks festival here in Upton. There won't be any changes. Similar to the program we did last year, fireworks we shut up across the street. Goes from 4 to 11, the event date, or 4 to 10, cleanup after. The event date is June 22nd, Saturday, and the ring date will be the following Sunday.
Any comments or questions, anything from Mr. Steele or Dr. Fitzpatrick on how things have been progressing?
Our experience has been very positive.
It's been a great community activity. We've become through these good folks, a very well-organized community centered around the holiday. It's been safe, it's been secure, everybody seems to enjoy it. So far, we've been happy to host it.
I do have one request. When and if you encounter other organizations who the request of me to advance a request of the school committee on their behalf to have alcohol as part of their fundraising efforts, that if perchance somebody does say that, well, we're delighted to work with you, please with us, that you really not eager to enter into multiple alcohol activities or activities other than those which are already committed to. That the process, even for our gourmet dinners, the major fundraiser involves a vote by our school committee, special action by the board of select persons in Upton, and even additional coverages for our insurances. And so we're delighted that we've been able to work cooperatively with you and your organization, but in the event you interact with others in the community, it's just not something that the school.
Yeah, that's my position as well. As chairman of the event for the past 12 years, That's always been my position, that's pretty much what I tell everyone else.
Yeah, pick our spots.
It's just not the appropriate, location to have alcohol with being school grounds. That's always been our position.
Thank you.
I know there are some members of the club that I've heard other people talk about it and asked about it, and they've raised it to my attention as well. But, and we looked at it once. I know we talked about it once with you, but, and we talked about it with the chief of police, but it's just not a right fit for the event. It's not a right fit for the location, and we've done it for
It's not so much to limit what you do, but also that other totally different organizations
Yeah.
who have sought my support. And saying, we'll be glad to pursue the work on the community and whatever the organization may be outside of youth sports. It's a worthy effort, we support it, but we're really reluctant to get involved in alcohol as a fundraising campaign.
We're in sync.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve.
Second?
If I may, because actually the final approval is not up to us, but we have regularly endorsed our support for the event. Kind of a terminology thing, because we don't handle the rental, but our, and really appreciate the knowing that, because we do this every year.
Yeah.
You still come forward and you still
Yeah,
look for
happy
that
to do it,
approval and
yeah.
endorsing it, so. If I may
Then
with
I make a
that.
motion that we approve, endorse, something.
Do something.
We continue the event.
Yeah, so we continue to host the event. Correct. Motion was made and was seconded over by, I believe it was Mr. Braun.
You were doing-
Mr. Lappin.
You were doing well until Dave got involved.
Question?
And I'm from your town.
Yeah, right.
All right, any other questions, comments, discussion on the 4th of July festivities? Seeing none, hearing none, all those in favor of endorsing this for continued support here at school, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, we appreciate your support.
Take care. Next item on the agenda, Facilities Subcommittee. Mr. Ladd.
Yes, the subcommittee met on February 13th, and we went over, quite a long agenda. We stayed right on task. And the biggest thing, that I don't know if anybody knows, but I guess Mr. Moran was telling us that OSHA now has the right to come into the school here, so now to be OSHA compliant, we have to make sure that everybody in the school that's driving the backhoe has to have the right license. The fork trucks, we have to have licensed, operators on those. Nobody can just jump on a fork truck anymore and I gotta go down and get some steel, whatever, so, the committee's working on a plan that, to come to the front, to the school committee, because of course there's gonna be an expense to it, to, pay for the licenses for some of these individuals, to start, because they have to have it. We just can't say, no, go out and get it on your own. So, and we were talked about opening it up to other individuals in the school. Say for instance, hypothetically, somebody in a machine shop needs to grab the fork truck to move some steel. Well, if you don't have a license, you're gonna have to wait for somebody to do it. So if you have a license, so if we're gonna give a course, if they wanna pay to get the license, so they have it, as the committee so far, we don't see a problem with that, but, it's just still in the early stages, so.
Yeah, that, you only pay for the course, you don't pay for the individuals, they give you the card right there.
Right, right, so I'm saying, but you would have to
You
pay
can
for
have
it.
as many as you want in that course.
Right,
And that also takes the burden off the facilities department to have to supply somebody to physically go over and do
right,
whatever it is.
right. And there'll be a list of who can and can't, drive it. So that's one of the new laws that just came through.
What's the cost of a license, John? I don't have any idea.
Depends which one. The oyster's license you have to pay for.
Right.
A fork truck license you pay for a group to come in, you hire an
I
instructor.
mean, what are
they
we
come in and
talking?
give
It's
you a test.
$100 and you can bring in 25 people, or is it $5,000 and you can bring in?
No, what do we figured?
I don't know what it costs. I have no
We're
idea.
working on the numbers, we don't have the hard numbers,
Right.
but that'll
Yeah.
be the next
Okay,
one.
Yeah.
I'm just curious.
Yeah.
See what it.
Not that
It's
expensive.
hundreds,
Yeah.
it's not,
Because-
it's not thousands.
Oysters it is.
One of the individuals that Teddy's talking to is an alumni from the school, and he said he would help us out. So it's still, like I said, in the early stages. So just want to let everybody know that we have to have, you know, the law, you know, OSHA can come in now. It changed how it works.
Well, I mean, and also don't forget the ramifications of we might have to have policy surrounding all that, so if there's.
That's right, so that'll have to all be.
It's an expense that multiplies out in
Oh,
this. as it goes
oh, yeah.
forward.
Well, it's just, right,
Yeah.
it's-
Next thing you know, you get an expense.
But it was just brought to our attention the last meeting,
Yeah.
so we're,
Okay.
To solve the problem in the future is what you do is when you hire someone, you make sure you hire them with the hoist's license.
yeah. Anthony.
Good point.
I mean,
Just
it's
a few-
usually a one-time shot.
Yeah,
Mm.
okay, good.
Anthony's.
Just a few points of clarification. The work that we've been doing internally is determining the list of people who are and aren't required to run
Right.
the equipment. So not just for licensing, but also looking at responsibilities and duties, who's required to wear reinforced footwear, other forms of PPE like prescription safety glasses, and we've had in place for many years a reimbursement program for that. But we're reassessing all of that. Some will be along guidelines and protocols, other things will rise to the level of policy. There's a mix of those things, but as of February 1, the rules did change, like John said, and, you know, OSHA can come in anytime, any school at this point. And it extends throughout the entire building, really, all aspects. Construction safety, ladder safety, for that matter, there's OSHA compliance right in the main office, right?
Yeah.
So we're looking at the whole thing, district-wide, school-wide, and really breaking down exactly where we need work. We have consultants that work for us through Mega, our insurance company. They come in and they help us do assessments on where we could use more compliance or are meeting compliance. And we'll take it step by step that way, but we got a pretty good jump on it already and a good handle on it. We're trying to come up with, you know, reasonable adjustments to be made in terms of who needs a license, doesn't need a license. Convenience versus, you know, would be nice versus absolutely mandatory. And we're trying to come up with something balanced.
Well, and not to mention, you just said that the call they can come in, it's like, well, we've got to monitor who's around the kids if they're coming in during the school day.
True.
Oh, talk about opening a can of
I
worms.
hope when they come in through the front door.
Yeah, right.
Technically, on a hoist's license, if you don't lift the bucket more than 4 feet, you don't need it.
Yeah. Oh,
Like we said, there was a whole can of worms that went
Yeah,
around this.
yeah, so it just all started, so I just wanted to, you know, keep the
Really?
committee up to date, what's going on.
Worms?
Yeah.
When you're digging too deep.
Can of worms, huh? Okay, and so then we took a tour of the automotive technology department, and the work they're doing down there it's amazing, all the stuff that Teddy and the crew have taken all off the walls, old pipes, and cleaned up and patched holes and stuff. They're getting ready to paint the place over. And they're gonna, with the grant they got, they're gonna be redoing the whole floor over and putting a new, different type of, what is it, air conditioning, not heating system in there. So that's gonna be, you know, a big thing.
And it's ventilation for the exhaust.
Ventilation, yeah.
For the cars.
For the
When you
cars.
Run the vehicles indoors.
Right.
Yeah.
You're required under regulations to have certain ventilation
Yeah.
systems in place.
And in the process, the Kel-wall windows, you know, the Kel-wall, it's the windows. Some places they're pulling apart. So Teddy's called the manufacturer, and as of the last I heard, it was under warranty, so should be no issue. That's what he said. He had talked to the guy, and the guy said should be no problem. So.
Curtis might have a different take on it.
Oh, did you hear about it different?
Yeah, they came up and I think the quote is about $5,800, but they said it wasn't under warranty is what came to me.
Oh.
And that we were looking at a fix through facilities right now that could be semi-permanent. And then it was approached to me about could we get it through the MSBA project, Doc, you call me. So I looked at the SOI that was submitted and we were pretty specific on our windows, but that's not what the entire proposal's about. It is for windows and roofs and things of that nature. So maybe when we get to the phase of actually filling out the application, once we're invited into the pipeline, maybe we can sneak it in there.
In fairness, given the research conducted,
That might have been after our meeting.
that's
Yeah.
all true.
Yeah.
When the facility subcommittee was kind enough to identify this need,
Yeah,
that brought additional conversations between Anthony and myself.
Okay.
And subsequent to that, Curtis and myself.
ah,
And I said, is there any way we can amend or piggyback the
right,
Mass School Building Authority application that we sent in for the roof by simply saying we've discovered another component, because the category of the roof repair is generally windows, doors, windows
Right.
and roofs.
Windows, yeah.
Okay. So it's traditionally viewed to be ineligible, so I thought we'd take a shot at including. If in fact the total cost turned out to get, say, $10,000, we'd get half of it back. So
Right.
but all of this happened as a result of the discovery that the facility subcommittee made.
Right.
You put some things in motion by providing us with that information.
Right.
And then we generated some other thoughts on this.
Yeah.
That would not have been possible without the cause and effect of your research.
Right.
But it was intended to ignore the previous work.
Oh, no, that's just, no, definitely, we're all on the same page here, Doc, yeah, definitely.
And to your point, it is warranty. They came out, they looked at it. The failure in it is the warranty would have expired on that, right? So as opposed to, say, a defect in the panes themselves, right? This is more of an installation type issue.
Yeah, it's shifted.
As Curtis is working on the possibility of an MSBA repair, we identified with some of our in-house talent that we can do a more short-term repair that may bridge us to a reimbursement scenario.
Okay.
So we're trying to make the best
Yeah,
of it.
so that all happened after our meeting?
Yes,
so
it
yeah,
did after.
Definitely, because he told me they were coming in, but he thought, his word was warranted.
May I ask who, when that was it installed by the person who supplied the product?
Yeah,
I believe so. It was part of the renovation project.
And how long
There
ago
was
was
a
this?
subcontractor that came specifically to install the cowl walls
How long ago was that?
during the renovation. So what are we talking, 13?
13 years ago?
About 13 years ago?
Sounds like 14, but yeah.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
14 years, give or
Yeah.
take. Depending on what phase we did auto tech in, I don't remember.
Because they replaced it
specifically.
all throughout the whole school.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, another sign of the partnership and benefit of collaborating between the school committees or subcommittees and people
Yeah.
on staff here.
Uh-huh. And at the same time, I was impressed that the masonry program, they did a great job. There were some areas in the tool crib that were open, and like Teddy was explaining, a lot of what they would do is they'd go into the room and they showed them how to make the block walls, but then they break them down because they make them out of powder. Here, they literally took mixed mortar and made up the blocks and made the walls. They did a great job, the kids. I was impressed.
Oh, you see that?
Yes,
Oh,
we all saw that. They did a great job. I don't know if any of the members that went have anything to put into that, but I was impressed.
I agree, it's nice to see them actually do something that's
Right, so,
permanent.
yeah, so 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, they're gonna see their wall is still there, It just didn't,
Hopefully.
Did you happen to see it today?
no,
Because there's more work that's done.
right, they were coming back to do more. What we saw,
Because they've been working on it.
It was
all
Tuesday
throughout
night.
the week.
Yeah. so, well, I think that's it right at this time. I mean, we've got a few other things that, we're working on, and we'll bring it to the committee as soon as we get it all put together.
And John, if it wasn't mentioned about the OSHA, they're not in any sort of a penalistic phase with,
No. No.
with us, or with any government entity, so unless it's willful and you're willingly putting someone in harm, but they'd say it'll be about 2 years before they start really hammering down in terms of penalties.
Right, but it's nice to be ahead of that,
Oh, yeah.
well ahead of
Oh,
that,
yeah. But as we plan it out, we keep looking at budgets to say, rather than bring 100% of something in this year that's off budget, and it's even off budget for next year, try to spread the cost out over what we see
Right.
this year and next year, maybe even a little bit in the following year at the very beginning, just to try to get some budgeted funds towards that.
Anything else from facilities?
Oh, that's right now,
Moving on. Curtis?
how did the snowplow trucks?
Item number 6.1 is the transfer for regional transportation. As it was mentioned in today's budget hearing, or public hearing, Dr. Fitzpatrick mentioned that in order to help compensate for the $225,000 contribution from excess and deficiency that was previously at $250,000, we did receive additional transportation funds this year above what was budgeted. And in accordance with the law, we are eligible to transfer some of that into a revolving fund and then use that as part of the budgetary process. It does not roll year after year, so what you put in there and take out It needs to be cleared by the end of the fiscal year for which that transfer was made. In this case, we received $1,025,000, or that's what's slated on the cherry sheet. We budgeted $895,000, so the variance between those is $130,102. Out of that, we are requesting a transfer of $25,000. The remainder of that will close to E&D at the end of the year, and then we will use that as a financing source for the FY20 budget.
Since there was at least one point of confusion by one listener previously, can you go over the total certified amount being 1 million, not 250,000?
Right.
1 million.
It was 1 million.
Okay.
Oh.
So it's just over 1 million. There was at least an impression by somebody, that we may have given it unintentionally, that it was one comma 250. It's not. 1000.
Right. It's $1,023,000, of which we took 2 votes. As you remember, $360,000 of that was dedicated strictly from the sale of the trash property, which was something that was never anticipated as a revenue source. That went directly towards the roof project, which now stands, I think, at $715,000 that we've got towards the roofs. Then we transferred another $140,000 to our general capital projects for summer renovations. That got us to the $500,000 that's sitting on the back of the green sheet for this budget year. We can't do anything else with E&D except give it back to the members, which we'll be taking a vote on tonight, in the $225,000, without the approval of our member towns, which will never go back to them. That's why we seek this as part of our approval process as we're presenting the budgets. So with that, you've got the motion before you on item 6.1 to transfer the $25,000. Somebody wants to make that motion?
So,
Made by Mr. Henry, second by Mr. Santarelli. Questions, comments, discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, all those in favor of approving the motion as described in item 6.1 on the agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
And then I just passed out item 6.2, which is a line item transfer. We are currently going through and analyzing some of our accounts in the general ledger, and one thing that has popped out at us is some of our McKinney-Vento transportation. That relates to students who have been identified as homeless, for which we have to provide transportation. I think generally speaking, when we've had students that are homeless, most of the time we've seen them residing within one of our 13-member towns, and we're able to get transportation through our regular busing system. But on occasion, we do see students that are outside of our 13-member town area, and we have to literally contract transportation to go pick them up. In one case, it is a state, I wouldn't say a state board, but it's a Division of Child and Youth Services, and the placement is in Worcester. And the other one is staying in Hopkinton, and we have to provide transportation. And those are somewhere in the neighborhood of we just contracted for just under $200 a day for one of our students that previously came from $230 a day. And then I believe we're at about $136 a day for transportation that we were able to provide for the town of Hopkinton. Drivers are very hard to come by in terms of special, well, I'm not going to say special, just say special transportation related to this, where it's outside of our member communities. And we've called roughly 7 or 8 companies to see if we can get transportation, and all of them declined, so we had to literally use taxi services, which is unfortunate, but it's all that's available. And we continue to seek one of our current transportation providers through Hunter, to see if she can work this student in with another student that we've got to make it the same trip. Haven't been able to do that yet. In the meantime, to get to the point, Barbara has agreed so graciously to let us use her revenue anticipation note monies that's there just in case she needs to borrow to transfer into that line to help cover the deficit. So with that said, let's put the motion in.
Motion made by Mr. Broderick.
Second.
Oh, you have a question?
I do, well, wait for a question. I'll make a motion to,
All right. Motion made by Mr. Broderick, second by Mr. Koopman. Your question?
my question is, we voted as a school committee to not accept outside district students.
Well, they're from here, but they're placed outside of the district, or that's where their living arrangement is, but they're still going to the school.
So they were in the school
Yes.
before this transportation was needed, okay?
There are rules around that where if they are then residing in that member town, that eventually they're expected to either get back to our member town or go to another school system unless the Department of Education feels it might disrupt their education. They might be a senior, that would be cost to keep them here, something of that nature.
I just didn't want to recall that at some point where we're accepting outside students when we said it weren't.
Matt?
It's a fair question. With some sensitivity to the privacy of the situation of the students, I wish to assure you, we have not accepted any.
Okay.
And
Very
then
good.
Dr. Matt might have.
I was just gonna say, when students are displaced from their home and do qualify for McKinney-Vento, once they have left their junior high schools and applied here, well, we become their school of origin.
Okay.
So when students are displaced or having to double up, we still are, no matter where they live, their school of origin. And to Curtis's point, if a student is there, we've seen, just by chance, one of the students is a senior, and through the Department of Education, they've said that we don't want to disrupt their learning and have them transition to another vocational school that may or may not offer their program. It is in the best interest of the student for them to stay here and for us to provide transportation as long as they are, here.
Okay, fair enough. Thank you.
So we got a motion and a second on the floor. Any other questions, comments, discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, all those in favor of the approving the transfer as described in item 6.2, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. Do you have any donations?
Donations.
No donations. Thank you very much, Curtis.
Lean year.
Thanks, Kurt.
Next item on the agenda, curriculum coordinator, Mr. Evans.
This will be till 8 o'clock too.
And just remember, whatever time you use, you take out a Mr. Steele.
There you go, that works.
I read that, but I'll say as long as you'll have me. So the reason why I am here is at the end of this month, on Tuesday, March 26th, and Wednesday, March 27th, the sophomores will be taking the English Language Arts MCAS. And the reason why I'm here more so is that this will be the first year that the grade 10 MCAS will be administered using computer-based testing. So it's represented a change in procedures, trainings, bless you, and whatnot. This is not the first time that the sophomore students have taken the MCAS on the computer. They took it as 8th graders. So in 2017, the state went to computer-based testing just in the 4th and 8th grades, and our current sophomores were in the 8th grade when that happened. Last year, there was computer-based testing in 4th, 5th, and 7th, and 8th grade, so our current freshmen have done that as 8th graders as well. This year, it's grades 3 through 8 and 10th grade. The only remaining high school exams that are not on the computers will be the science exams, which we'll administer in early June. However, after the paper-based science MCASs in June, immediately after that is a pilot computer-based testing science exam, which last year we did the pilot for the English and math. So I am assuming that next school year, the science will also be on the computers. In your packets, I prepared a document with a more succinct table, and then I also gave you a document that gives the new MCAS in a little bit more detail. But to summarize, with the paper-based testing, it was a 3-day window. Now they'll be tested over 2 days. You had on the old MCAS 36 multiple choice questions, so you just choose A, B, C, or D. The state has amended that, so it will not just be multiple choice questions. There will still be multiple choice questions, 21 to 27 of them. But now they've added some 2-point questions. Utilizing the computers, they've done what they've called technology enhanced questions. So a student will be able to drag and drop the appropriate answer. They also have what they call hotspot questions. And what that would be was, it's easier to explain as an example. If you had a sentence that said something like the ball was camouflaged, it couldn't be seen, the student would highlight within the text what tells them the definition of camouflage. So they would highlight it couldn't be seen. And that wasn't a great example, but I'm doing it on the fly, but that's an example of a hotspot question.
Works for me.
I should have made it easier in the camouflage to explain in context. They've also amended the writing. So on the old MCAS, one day was always devoted to the long composition. And then you would have some short answer questions. The state has amended that so the long composition isn't as long, but there are now 3 essays that students will be graded on. 1 argumentative, 1 informative, 1 narrative, all based on reading excerpts. So whereas the old essay prompts would be more generic prompts and the students would respond to them and utilize examples from their own reading or their own knowledge base, the new essays are more respond to this specific passage, which varies in length, and write the essay from there. Another change that's a subtle difference, but one that will affect the types of questioning is this is the first year that the MCAS is based off of the 2017 English frameworks, whereas every MCAS, well, from last year prior, it was based on the 2011 frameworks. The subtle differences there is the 2017 frameworks have a heavier emphasis on vocabulary and use of language, and an increase in informational text, which to summarize is nonfiction reading, and a little bit of a smaller emphasis on literature, which would be fiction, and more of an enhanced textual analysis, which explains why the new essays are all based on specific prompts that they'll, specific passages that they'll read and respond to. Some changes we've done as a result of this, it started in the summer, right when I accepted the offer to move into academics. I began collaborating with our assessment coordinator, Steve Grabowski, who does a fantastic job, and our English team leader, Sean Kahowski, regarding the curricular impact to the changes on the MCAS. So those subtle changes, even in the manner in which the MCAS is assessed. The old MCAS was 8% language, whereas the new MCAS is 20% language. So those changes, forced curricular changes within the classroom to make sure that our students are being prepared for the new breakdown of the MCAS. I also began working with our technology director and network administrator regarding our infrastructure. That was the biggest concern I heard statewide from schools, is having the physical infrastructure to be able to have, in our case, it'd be 310 sophomores on the computers on the same platform at the same time. We're very fortunate to have a wide variety of inventory, but also we have the bandwidth and the guts, if you will, of our internet and whatnot is very strong. We're in a fortunate position. We only will need to utilize 1 2-day testing window. The state has offered 2 2-day testing windows for the districts that cannot test all their sophomores at the same time. We're able to do it all in 1 window. I also began working with our voc directors to talk about using vocational space for the MCAS, because we would prefer to have our students on wired machines as opposed to wireless. It just adds one more layer of certainty and reliability. So we've been working all hands on deck. In the winter, at the very beginning of 2019, we began presentations to academic staff regarding the MCAS changes. We wanted to begin the process earlier than in years past, simply because it may not be new to our students, but it's new to our staff, and we want to make sure that everybody is comfortable with the changes, because it's the teaching staff that proctors the exam. We had the staff complete the TestNav 8 tutorial, which is the platform the students will take the test on. We thought that was important for the teachers to take it so that they understand the platform that the students are using. We wanted them to experience that firsthand. And then in February, the students took a mock English MCAS in their English, in their classes. And we utilized career enrichment to have the students complete the TestNav 8 tutorial. Get an example of all hands on deck. The English MCAS, it's not just the responsibility of the English teachers. We look at it as a whole team effort. On our website, we have the webpage, the valleytech.ma.us/MCAS exams. And I have shared that with sophomore families with a letter. And then I sent a one call out last week utilizing the text messaging feature that we have in one call, so they have the link sent right to their phones. Because one of the nice things about having it online is that those types of things can be accessed 24/7. So there's a bunch of practice tests online and things that students and their families could access whenever they want. We also were able to publish and begin the English MCAS boot camp schedule. That was a big effort by the English department because they changed it to reflect the new standards on the MCAS. So it looks completely different, very thoughtfully done. Again, English team leader Sean Kahowski did a really nice job at organizing that and getting that out. We also, at the end of the student tutorials, had the students all take a survey to indicate to us that after the tutorial, whether or not they would like additional tutorialing. And 6 students responded yes, and we'll be taking care of them next week with some one-on-one sessions to make sure that they understand how to operate the system and all the different tools within it. Currently, we are in the phase, since I sent this to you all, and now we've begun the phase of training teachers. They're the ones that are going to be proctoring, so we'll be doing multiple rounds of training for them so they feel good. We have the breakfast scheduled. We provide our students a breakfast before they take the MCAS, so that is all ordered and ready to go. And I feel very confident that on the 26th and 27th, we'll have a successful execution of the MCAS, and I'm also confident that our students are well prepared for not only the English aspect of it, but also the technological operation of it. I can field any questions at this point.
Every once in a while, a student might need an accommodation to be able to take the test.
Yep.
Do we anticipate any different types of accommodations because now it's on a computer versus paper?
So we've done I left that one out, I apologize, in January. January we completed the SRP&P, which is where we submit to the state all the accommodations students would need. All the accommodations remain relatively the same. The one interesting accommodation that now exists is students can, through an accommodation only, get a paper test. So I think that's the one different one is for some students have a disability that they would get the accommodation of a paper test. And then also if we don't have any of this, the next category, students who are here in their first year in the United States that may not be familiar with computers are also, can also receive a paper-based test if they qualify to take the MCAS.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Doc?
Well, I asked Mr. Evans to make this presentation, anticipating that it would be beneficial and informative, particularly as you interact with any parents or happen to be a parent. But it should come as no surprise to the school committee when you heard the explanation and preparation before the test, why we have the success that our students do. This is the type of detail getting ready.
The staff, the teachers, staff here cares very much about it, and it, like I said earlier, it makes it so much easier to present to you and do all this with the all hands on deck attitude. It makes it really easy from my perspective.
My experience, a significant portion of success in any endeavor is the preparation that you do for it. No, thank you very much for all the hard work that goes into this.
Thank you all.
Jeff?
Can we go right to budget since Mr. Evans used up all?
Anthony has nothing to say.
Thank you very much.
On that note, I think Mr. Evans is really doing a great job in his first year in this role. He speaks so well and thoroughly. Thank you, Eddie.
His trainer is.
Mr. Chairman, may I request that Assistant Principal Urquhart join me up at the table?
I thought you were going to request for an extension of time.
So
I've been
when he
told
starts
Mr.
to slow
Evans
down,
you were
kick him in the
gonna
shin.
use his time.
I already learned that.
Kick him in the shin and make him go faster.
Yes.
You'll definitely let you sit up and you kick him in the shin and make him go faster.
Oh, look at Talk about that in a minute. You all know Mr. Urquhart well. He's the assistant principal here, but I think it's been 4 years since he presented to you bullying prevention and our bullying intervention plan.
And you decided to avoid it as long enough?
He's been trying, our 8.6 item to his senior calendar, and he put most of that together, and so thought it would be, he's here in the audience tonight, thought it might be appropriate if he come up and we can get there, maybe he can explain it to you better than I can. We'll start off with 8.1, the practical nursing graduation report. We did hold the graduation here on January 23rd. We graduated 20 fine new licensed practical nurses. They had their pinning ceremony as usual. Joyce Gilmore was our keynote speaker that night. We actually had an outside guest scheduled and didn't arrive. And Joyce is a quick thinker and a good talker, good speaker, and she stepped in impromptu, took care of it. So once again, Joyce, who is always there for us, has been there for us, and came through, and it was a nice ceremony. So 20 new graduates off and running, and the program is doing well. They've had great success rates with their passing of the NCLEX exams, so those the follow-up exams afterwards. And so we seem to be on track and on pace with this current group that's in. And congratulations to the program. Any questions on practical nursing graduation? Okay. 8.2, Career and College Fair Report. That was just recently, March 1st, and we obviously had some snow coming in. And it was scheduled to be on Thursday. We had to bump it to the snow day, which was Friday. It didn't seem to affect the colleges much. We still had 68 colleges appear, so that would essentially be all of them. It did affect some of the companies. I think they're a little bit less limber when they commit to a certain date, and so but we nonetheless still had 24 companies. So 68 colleges, 24 companies, and of course our military representation there as well. That was held in our competition center here. All of our sophomores, all of our juniors, and any seniors who identified that they have yet to solidify their postgraduate plan also attended. So it's, again, this is an annual event for us. And very well done, considering that it is for us and by us and our students only. It's quite a huge showing. So essentially, about as many people as we can pack into the competition center. and then rotate the students during smaller groups so they'll have an opportunity to take their time and speak with the guests. Questions on the career and college fair? Okay, moving on to 8.3. The Markham Award status, that is this beautiful new design they came up with here. I talked to you about the Markham Award before. It's essentially awarded to us based on our winning percentage of athletic contests, so it takes into account all athletic contests that we would have entered in the 2017-18 school year. We were at the top of that statistically with a 67.7% winning average, if you will, out of all athletic contests. They did significantly redesign the award. I've never seen it quite look like this before, but that is the Boston Globe's Markham Award, which will forever stay here in our trophy cases. Boy, Chuck, maybe you can help me out with this stat. I think we have won it 9 out of the last 10 years or something of that nature, on something of that level. Right? So consistently, we've achieved this award. I think any school would be happy and feel blessed to get it once. We've gotten it quite a few times. So congratulations to everybody, and obviously hats off to Ms. Denise, the whole athletic program, all of our coaches, and certainly our student athletes that bring the talent and the skill to achieve that.
You know, the school committee is just starting to forgive us for the one time we came up
short. Any questions on the Markham Award? Okay. Moving on, I have on 8.4 an Excellence Award. Specifically, as going to mention that we just found out as this agenda was coming together that through Project Lead the Way, you're probably familiar with that. PTLW, Project Lead the Way, is part of our engineering curriculum. But we have been engaged with Project Lead the Way courses in their particular framework for STEM courses for about a decade now. Nationally recognized curriculum, and we were called and contacted because we were, again, for the second year in a row, awarded the Distinguished School Recognition by Project Lead the Way. We're the only school in Massachusetts, in fact, we're the only school in New England this year to achieve it. There were only 33 in the United States, and so this is essentially based on having 70% or more of our students earn proficient or higher on the end of course exams. So Project Lead the Way has its own set of final exams that it gives nationwide, and we have had quite remarkable success on those, not just engineering students, but also students in electronics, students in drafting and so forth. Also take some of those courses and contribute to that success. Also, it recognizes that we are a school where many of our students will take 2 or more Project Lead the Way courses during their high school tenure. And also, interesting point, last year we got this award along with one other school in the state. We were the only ones to double up 2 years in a row. So again, the only school in New England and one of 33 nationwide. So obviously in terms of engineering, pre-engineering, and anything related to it, Valley Tech students have demonstrated, I should say, and the teachers have demonstrated that they're among the best in the district. I'd like to congratulate everybody affiliated with that effort. Questions on that excellence award? I was made aware this afternoon and figured I would include it in the category of excellence. Tom Lamont was at an event. This is a NARI, which is a construction and remodeling say collaborative, if you will. I don't know if you're familiar with them. It's a professional organization, and they awarded us the NARI partnership, or identified us as a NARI partner school. So basically, the main premise for them organizing their collaborative was to look for, seek out, and establish connections with potential sources for talent. And they certainly, when they discovered us and spoke with some of our instructors and students like Tom, they certainly realized that there was great partnership to be had. And he just got this actually, I think, yesterday or today, where they reached out and formally invited us as a NARI partner school. So quite an interesting question.
That's the acronym for National Association of Remodeling Industry.
Thank you, sir. Well, now we're linked up with them officially. So proud to hear that from Tom. I think they're quite interested in being able to create linkages not just with painting and design, but perhaps through art or construction cluster, which we can do on that, to some of the design, things like that. So, congratulations to Tom and his continued networking. It's been incredibly effective with that. Questions on either of those excellent awards? I have some out-of-state trips for us to consider. The first,
We approve the construction methodology out-of-state trip.
I'll second that.
A motion made by Mr. Henry, second by Mr. Morelli. I just have a question. Why are they going to the convention center? What's going on there?
why are they going to the convention
So
center?
they set up all the new equipment.
It just says they're going, and it's for 2 technology and industry. They, I mean, is there a, trade show or something going on?
It's Journal of Light Construction.
Okay. No, I mean, that's the thing, it's one of those little holes in the.
Describe it a little better.
Right,
Yeah.
describe it a little better.
Yeah,
Don't
they
have a
say they're
problem
going to
sending
go
them
see,
to some of
that
this
they're gonna go look
Got
at the
it.
ceiling,
I know
you
Mr.
know, in
Fitzpatrick.
the convention center.
Not speaking to Dr. Fitzpatrick. Mr. Fitzpatrick. I mean, because I believe this trip comes up almost everywhere. That's why
Yes,
I recognize
and
it.
you put newest technology in the industry. I'll ask them to elaborate on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
Journal
right
of
hand,
Light
hand is left
Construction.
hand.
yeah, no, I was more concerned about trying to make sure that, like, when they're sending it to us, that we take care of. Because I'm looking at this going, where's the,
And there's no possible way of confusing the two.
Laser lights
Mr.
over
Fitzpatrick.
there. Fire.
Be nice to him, he has a lovely mother.
It's the same one.
all right, with motion and second on the construction technology trip down to Providence. Questions, comments, discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, all those in favor of approving this trip, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
I move that we approve the auto technology to New York City.
Second.
Motion made and seconded by Mr. Levin. This one is going down to the International Car Show.
Yeah.
I think Mr. Steele's gonna be the one that's chaperoning on this.
I am not. I will explain this one. Our students, Aiden Lukemeyer and Nick Ullman, won their competition. I believe it was the Ford AAA competition. I can check that detail. As the winners of that, and statewide winners, so they won the Massachusetts competition, they have been invited to compete at the International Car Show in New York. Not the first time we've achieved this, and Mr. Peralt has taken students before. In this case, he proposes to the same mode of transportation. They took the train out of Providence down to the International Show in New York. The students pay for their transportation and so forth. And so it's a duplication, if you will, of something we've done before. However, it is an earned qualification to compete at the international level.
And that might explain why the TBD on time all depends on
When their competition is going to be scheduled and those types of things, yes.
Make a motion to accept this.
But Ms. Agnew, I already had the motion on the floor.
I used this.
Oh, okay.
I didn't need kids.
Nope, that's fine. Any other questions, comments, discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries.
I will ask you one thing out of order right here. When coming down to the budget hearing earlier, I was given a field trip request. It is for April 23rd. You will all meet again April 11th, and so I can certainly bring this a month from now. You've always, right, you've always asked me when and if possible to try and give you more notice than that, or what if, you know, they need one more week. This is a recurring trip. It's the Sea Club, and that they go up to that farm and work the farm and work up breakfast, milk the cow, get the eggs.
Shovel the barn.
Jerry, you can do it all.
Jerry, make the motion.
But it's 10 students and their 2 C club chaperones. I can bring it next month. I'm happy to do that. And out of respect for what you've asked me, if I know of something early, should I bring it to you? It's
Does
not
anyone have any
that bad.
objection to bringing this forward tonight?
No.
Mr. Blount, we want to recommend encouragement in supporting that when it comes out.
I'll second that.
Go ahead and present what you have. Look,
So they will be leaving on Tuesday, February 23rd. That's during April vacation.
April.
You said February.
April, sorry.
a month
April
behind.
23rd. They will be going up overnight, Tuesday and Wednesday. They'll be working the farm. It costs $125 a person. They raise their own funds for this, have generated their own funds through their club. Total cost for the trip is $1,500, and we'll send them in a school van. 10 students, 2 chaperones, it's the advisors of the club, and that's about it. They'll be back in a day and a half.
Steal a sheep, take it in the bag.
I'll entertain a motion if anyone.
Motion.
I'll second.
Riding back
Mr.
to
Cooper,
kick me
your
going on the
turn.
friggin' dashboard.
Yeah. Yeah.
Made by Mr. Bartlett, second by Mr. Coopin. Questions, comments, discussion? Seeing none, hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries.
Beautiful.
They can have this one.
We'll bring you back some fresh eggs, Jerry.
There you go.
Don't bring back a goat and a
The last item I have for you is senior calendar. Again, Mr. Urquhart, as assistant principal, has worked very tirelessly on this. And we do it as a team, but he's no doubt in the driver's seat on this. Take it away, Mr. Urquhart. Tell us what's going on with seniors.
Actually, I have a correction too. I actually sat here less than 4 years ago. Mr. Evans and I actually presented our Raptor management system to all of you a couple of years ago, not 4. So thank you again for having me. The calendar is something that we've done for the last couple of years for our seniors. We feel that because they have so many activities in the upcoming months, once February vacation happens, we felt it was always necessary to provide them with all of the dates so that nothing gets missed. As Anthony said, that there are so many stakeholders that are involved in developing this calendar that is quite extensive. We had a class meeting for seniors a week and a half ago to actually walk them through every item, just so that we were all on the same page. I don't know how you feel about doing this, but I think that I'm just going to highlight some of the more important things that have been changes this year. This year, we are having the senior class trip in March at the end, during the MCAS administration here because of the type of administration it is this year. In previous years, we had the senior class trip in May during their senior week, but we felt we had to get the calendar out a little bit earlier so that they understood, at least the students who were on the trip, knew what the dates were. As we were speaking earlier, I was explaining how there are several students who are also staying behind and not attending the senior class trip because they're on co-op and felt it was necessary that they wanted to make money and gain more experience on the job. So we did permit that. There are a number of students who selected not to go on the trip because they had already been there. What I can reassure you all of is that none of this was fiscally an issue financially. We met with a number of students who said that they didn't want to go when we polled the students. And a number of them said, well, I've already been there, my family goes every year. And so those students will be coming to school. We are looking into, with Mr. Evans, some educational opportunities for those days for them. So that's ongoing. A couple things to note that we identified this year, and I'm going to have you look down to May 23rd, which is the Thursday. Senior Memorial Scholarship Night. We have made an adjustment to our scholarship night. We've identified in the past that it is a long evening for the amount of scholarships that students apply for and receive. In addition to all of the awards that they get, the evening has been around 3 hours. So in Valley Tech fashion, we reached out to our community members through school council. We've actually polled a number of our students to ask them about attending the evening. and all of the feedback that we received was actually really good, constructive feedback. They feel that we as a school should continue to have scholarship night to recognize those students. We as a school have also identified that there are some awards, non-monetary awards, that we're going to move to class day, which I'll describe in a moment, such as attendance awards, most improved, and things like that. We also felt it was necessary to continue that night and do it by invitation. In previous years, when we have something called senior checkout, it was very challenging for us to get all of the students to attend that evening. It was always open to everyone. And we would talk about how someone was being recognized, of a scholarship, and those that weren't were always encouraged to attend and support their classmates. The student feedback was, in addition to some of the parents, was that's a long night for my son or daughter to not get anything. So what we've chosen to do this year is go by invitation. Yes, that will make the evening a little bit smaller and minimize the amount of time, but we are recognizing those kids for the work that they've put in and the scholarships that they've applied for and received. And we're still going to, if you look to the next day, or the next calendar item, which is the 28th, it's called Class Day. This is something that we've put in the last 2 years where it allows the seniors to come back together one more time in the building. We recognize the advisors. We started a class will where they it's kind of like something funny that they do, recognizing certain teachers, events that happen throughout their 4 years. It's a day of fun for them. It's their yearbook distribution, so we have a period of time where they're actually signing and congratulating everyone and wishing everyone well. But also what we're doing is rolling some of those awards into that day. It would be the most improved student in shops, awards that they get academically, like most improved reader, whatever the award is, we've made those, transition those from scholarship night to class day, so that really the students can, as a whole, can congratulate each other for all the work that they've put in. We focus on attendance, and then most oftentimes the kids, actually the class officers, put together a class video, so we encourage the seniors to send in photos outside of school or in school, and the students actually put together these heartwarming videos that are played, and it's a very nice day. So we've tried to find the balance of having, of not, keeping the activity or the event because it is something special, but understanding the time aspect of it. So we really try to meet the needs of everyone, and so we've split it into 2 days where everyone can have their moment in the spotlight and be appreciated for everything that they do. And then of course we have the last 2 events, which are to the seniors 2 of the most important, which is the rehearsal, where they actually go through the entire process from start to finish lining up. Because it is such a theatrical event, we talk to them about it and we go through every aspect of it, so it's rather lengthy. And then of course we have graduation on May 30th, which again, if you've been there, it truly is a spectacular event and a special evening. And so if on the backside, really quickly, we also include obligations. We want the students to be aware of what they need to do before they're able to check out, whether it be a financial obligation, making sure that they've met their attendance requirements, turned in books, anything that they need to do before they can shake Mr. Steele's hand in the checkout line on May 20th.
Last year at it was the scholarship night, I think you had the student video on a loop, and all the parents really liked that.
Yep.
Everybody's watching it. Since the scholarship night is invitation only, and maybe not all the parents are going to be there, would that video be available for parents to be able to see, maybe on the website or something like that, so that they get a chance to see it even if they're not at the scholarship night?
Yes.
Okay.
So we've also included all of this information on the website as well. We've done a one-call, where we are in the process of getting a one-call done so parents feel like they're a part of it. Sometimes when we have a class meeting and we distribute all this information to them, somehow it gets lost in the backpack. But yes, I think that it's important to have the parents. There's also a footnote to this as well. We have opened up class day to parents as well. We're
Okay.
going to say, if you'd like to attend class day as well, even though it is during the day, it would really, ask parents to take time off work or take a day off from work, but I think it's another opportunity for them to see their children before they become full-fledged adults in their post-secondary lives. So yes, we can include that as well.
Any other questions on the calendar? Anything else? All set?
I recall.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank
Great
you.
job.
In the 4 years?
See you in 4 years.
I'll make it 2.
Next on the agenda, the budget report. Mr. Lavin.
Okay, the public hearing was earlier this evening. Had pretty good turnout. Doc gave us the update where we stand. I don't know, Doc, if you want to fill on that. Anything else? I think we're...
No, the public hearing went without issue, and quorum being present, we got a chance to review the product, month's report.
Yes.
The budget subcommittee. Thank you, the committee, for its support, and we were able to advance the plan.
Thank everybody for having me as a chair again this year. And Anthony, school council?
Right here, John. Document is
Oh,
Yes.
okay, sorry.
9.2.
All right, as you can see, they voted, approved.
Yes, they, in the annual fashion, they were given a full presentation, much like the public hearing tonight of the budget, how it came together. They've had input in it with it throughout the year. And Lorna and Curtis joined us this year to answer any and all questions that they may have had around the total budget request, how the budget was built. And as you can see from their vote, they were unanimously in support of it as presented.
Okay, thank you. Any questions? Okay, moving on. Looks like we have a vote. Is there a motion? Looking for a vote. Anybody?
9.3.
You-
9.3?
For excess and deficiency.
Yes.
I'll entertain the motion.
Anybody want to make it?
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Brazel, seconded by Mr. Arsenarelli. Questions, comments, discussion? Doc.
It is not uncommon that one or more school committee members ask the balance of the excess and deficiencies and how much you're drawing from the reserve. That's why Curtis put this together, probably one of his assistants, possibly even the treasurer. You can see the first, looking under analysis on the motion, you see the certified E&D by the Department of Revenue being the number that was referenced. You see the reduction of the one-time real estate transfer from that account. The $140,000 from previously reimbursed summer improvements and capital improvements. Subtracting those two numbers, 500,000 basically, the available balance is 523,718. Taking the action that Mr. Lavin has just offered in support of the budget subcommittee, coupled with the 25,000 that you already voted on earlier tonight on the transportation. That would be given your action on this motion would be applied to the FY20 budget, leaving a balance of just under 300,000. For those who are skittish about having a balance of that small amount, given the nature of our budget, keep in mind that the 700,000 that will go to the roof project will bring 350,000 back from the reimbursement from the state, which will be added to the 300,000 or 298, bringing us back into the way we do business and being available to be recycled. In summary, every time we do this, you get $1.53 spending capacity for a dollar. Just want to give you that. Are there any questions on that? Sorry for the quick nap. Motions on the table.
Motion's on the table. Any other questions, comments, discussion about this? Seeing none, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the use of $225,000 from our E&D as described in item 9.3, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, now, looking for a motion to adopt the FY20 budget as presented.
So moved. Second.
Made by Mr. Henry, second by Mr. Tinarelli.
Do we need a number, or just, are we okay? Joe?
As presented.
I was gonna, motion, any questions, comments, discussion on the, motion for us on the budget?
No?
Seeing and hearing none. All those in favor of approving the budget as presented at the budget hearing with a final,
24.
24,641? With a final budget number of $24,641,915. Say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries. We have our budget to present to the town.
That's it. Okay, Finance Committee presentations. Sutton, Doc?
Absolutely. Yeah, two finance committee meetings have been held, for the recollection, as of the date of this meeting. Okay, and that is Sutton is listed, Julie and I presented. This was an advance finance committee presentation made to the Sutton Finance Committee at their special request of a year ago. Julie followed up on that and made the presentation on the date identified. It was a productive professional exchange, and we hope we have advanced their support as we proceed. Any questions of the Sutton Finance Committee? Not hearing any. Millville, Mr. Finn was present. I'll invite him.
Doc and I made a presentation to the full Finance Committee. It was taped, and we have pretty much all except one person bring the group. They did ask some good questions. We were able to give them some answers and help them in terms of understanding how the district budget is put together. I thought it was a very professional exchange. The folks on the Finance Committee are sharp people, and they're very professional. It was very cordial, and after Doc and I left, I was told that they came up and met with a few other people and said that was the best presentation they'd ever seen done to be able to explain the budget to them so they could understand it. Doc makes it very clear and simple for that message to get across. So it was very positive on that. I feel very good about it, and I think that it went a long way to set a new tone with a whole brand new Finance Committee. Selectmen as well, yeah. Yeah, I'm sorry, it was the Selectmen and the Finance Committee were co-joined in the same meeting. That's correct. It went very well.
Any more questions? Moving on.
That's it. Anything else?
Thank you, Budget Subcommittee.
Yes.
Item 10.
Chairman, of the committee, we reached out to the new Uxbridge Chief of Police, and he came over, met with Anthony Steele and myself. We had an enjoyable meeting. We'd like to try to set a tone whenever anybody new comes in, fire chiefs, police chiefs, town managers, you name it. And so I believe Uxbridge is very fortunate to have this individual. Seems very professional, and eager to work with us and the district communities. I had a special request of a year ago from the long-term finance committee chair from Hopedale, the current member of the Finance Committee, Don Tomastra, to tour, but his schedule didn't allow it to happen until more recently. He came over and consistent with my promise to him, he and his wife gave him a tour throughout the building. And I received two different messages of appreciation for how impressed he was with what he said. The first one, he had seen students and programs. Any questions? Consistent with the superintendent's goals and I think 400 hours or so of professional development, I attended the American Association of School Administrators National Conference on the dates indicated. Any questions on that? And moving on, I'm aware, been made aware that in the calendar of recognitions, the Mass Association of Vocational Administrators, abbreviated MAVA, will be holding its Outstanding Vocational Awards Banquet. I'm not aware that we have selected our student to be honored at that event as of yet, but we want to be aware that there will be one of our students who will be recognized as an outstanding vocational student. Any questions? Seeing none, moving on. Item 10.4, you have a copy in your communications, and I guess St. Patrick's Day colors, of my continued pursuit of non-local dollars to expand our ability to say yes to more students. Is a copy of the letter that I sent to the government. Any questions on that? We'll continue to keep you posted. It remains a long shot to secure those funds, but we'll keep trying. Seeing no questions, item 10.5, Mr. Chairman. During the last cycle, we received a series of communications. And the first one, this was not unexpected. Joanne D'Amico, his communication acknowledging her great work for an extended period of time and giving us proper and fair notice and actually spending a considerable amount of time with the advance notice that she gave training the new person for a smooth transition. We are indebted to the man and the family for the work to our students and support. Following this. Any questions? I was made aware of the communication relative to a custodian who was with us for a relatively short period of time, who apparently submitted his resignation, just opted to pursue another opportunity. So I have no note because I did not have this communication, but I was made aware of that. Any questions? We also received a message of transition here from a tech support person, and I noted, as indicated to you, on one side relative to that individual as from other opportunities. Any questions? Seeing none, you also should have a detailed copy of the next parent newsletter. We've received a number of compliments from parents and observers over the, I'd say, creative and detailed manner in which Anthony crafts these messages to show insight on some of the factors that people may take for granted or not otherwise be aware. And this is the most recent product of that work. It also allows us to provide lots of information in electronic newsletter. It's shared with us. Parents continue to extend appreciation and praise for the amount of messages they get, keeping in tune with that. Any questions?
Thank you very much, Dr. Fitzpatrick. Next item on the agenda, any new business to be brought forward by the school committee? Seeing none, Dr. Fitzpatrick, do you have any new business?
I have one. I have a nephew who recently graduated from UMass Amherst, the business program, who has been interviewing for positions, but has been expected to accept international travel as part of the opportunities. And I think he likes his mother's cooking too much. He hasn't accepted any of those opportunities. And he might be available for some subbing. So, but that's a family matter. So I ask your permission, if he happens to be available, if he happens to have interest, and I'm not sure either of those things are true at this point, would the students vote to accept an ability for him to sub if there were.
Second.
I need to declare that.
Yeah, the motion was made by Mr. Hanratty. I heard Mr. Lavin's voice coming from the other side with the second to authorize this substitute, hire on a substitute basis.
If needed.
I was gonna say, this is also doing a little, ahead of the game because you're not even sure he'd be interested.
That's all true. Yeah. Keep him up.
Full disclosure.
I just know he's available for now.
Any questions, comments, or discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving this hire on an as needed with, if you're interested, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion carries, it is authorized.
We'll convey that.
Any other new business, Doc? That'll conclude the new business before us today. Next, items of the good of the committee available for your perusal. Jerry has his 4 or 5 copies.
I do indeed, sir. Thank you.
It's a photocopy machine.
If you would like a copy, just let Doc know. Next, regularly scheduled school committee meeting, April 11th. I will not be here that day. I will be somewhere in South Florida.
If it's still there.
South Florida's to be there.
Mr. Chairman, given that you're looking at for the good of the committee, the hockey team competed in the playoffs at the beat just the other night, 3-1. upset by, we were the second seed, we were upset by the third seed. And on the same night, the fourth seed upset the first seed. Which means we would have played the fourth seed, but whatever. Okay, so we didn't get that far, so, I believe they were 14-4, okay, in the top.
That's still good.
So that was the hockey season. The girls' basketball, they won the first two games in the state playoffs, but they beat last night at Clark University by the number 1 seed. We were the number 4 seed in that one. So both the hockey and girls' basketball improved for the season. Cheerleaders are still competing. So get ready for softball and baseball.
As soon as the snow melts.
How about track? Sure.
Yeah, right. Using snowshoes.
Oh, thank you very much. All right, our next meeting is April 11th. I will not be here. Seeing as we have concluded our.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made to adjourn in second. By Mr. Rubin. Those questions, comments, discussion. Seeing none, hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? We are adjourned.
Now we can go home.